Good morning, it's Hazel Jarvis, it's Art Online, and today we are going to do a Southwestern landscape. We're going to do a landscape with a lot of contrast, and it's a landscape that I call Last Aspen, First Snow. I'm going to start with the simplest possible pencil drawing, which just shows the distant mountain range. So I have my color palette worked out, and now I'm going to start with a pale yellow sky. So to paint the sky, I'm going to turn the painting upside down because it's much easier to go up to the ledge rather than fit it in at the end. And I'm going to pre-moisten the colors that I know I'm going to use. So that's the yellow 43 and 40. And then for the dark clouds, I'm going to pre-moisten those colors too. So I'll go into those in a moment, but I start with the pale yellow and I put both colors on my brush, and I've got a lot of color on my brush and it's very wet and very saturated, and I start just stroking in this pale yellow color, pushing it right up against the mountains. And then I take a lot more and I just run it all the way over and across. So that's a combination of the two yellows. And I'm not going to go all the way to the edge because I like a slightly vignetted side. So that's my yellow sky going in. Now for the clouds, I'm going to take my nice big thick brush and I'm going to dip into the lavender 61, and also on my brush I'm going to get 46 burnt sienna, a little bit of maroon too, and I'm just going to go right across and paint in the band of cloud like this. So a bit more lavender, a bit more maroon, a bit more burnt sienna. Like so. And while it's wet, just for a touch of drama, I'm going to take in my turquoise number 62 and just put a touch in here and there. Back to the lavender just to mix it in. My sky now looks like this, and I have to wait a moment because I want to do the distant mountains next, so I have to just let the sky dry. While we wait for the sky to dry, we can put in some of the leaf mass down here. So we're going to take basically that same mix of the two yellows, but just go a little bit stronger on number 43, the slightly warmer yellow, and using the side of your brush, you're going to paint in some strong areas to suggest the yellow of the last aspen leaves. And you don't have to be too accurate, they're just going to be side motions like this. And we'll put in just a couple more in a couple of places, but we don't need to put too many in. For my mountain ridge, I'm using a little bit of 61, the lavender, a little bit of dark purple, 38, and a little bit of dark blue-green, 57, and I mix them all on my brush. And then I start painting across. And the lavender gives it a slightly smoky look, which I like very much. So I dip back in, reload, and just carry on painting across. And you probably want to mix up a tiny bit more paint in your palette. So let's just go across. And where we get to some of the yellows, you paint around them. So your landscape will now look something like this, and we'll have to wait a few minutes for this dark purple mountain ridge to dry. Next, we're going to mix up some yellow ochre, number 44, and some burnt sienna, 46, for the trunks of the aspen trees. I run some of the tree trunks over the purple mountains because the yellow ochre is slightly opaque, so they will show up, and also because I know I'm going to add a little bit of white in at the end to just lighten everything up. So then they will show against the darker mountains. So in go our tree trunks. So the aspens have long, tall, thin trunks and a sort of a crown of branches at the top. So that's where we're going to concentrate the branches. Painting now looks like this, and you might say, gosh, I kind of like it. It looks spare and I think I might stop there, but we're going to push on just a little bit further. Actually, before I do the darker green, I'm going to add just a few more yellow leaves on my aspen. Not too many, but just a few. And we'll wait just a moment and make sure everything is dry before we put in that darker layer. So I start to tuck in that dark green, and it doesn't have to be exactly touching the yellow or exactly touching the branches, but you have to get it fairly close in. So we'll just start to put it in, because we want to give the illusion of it being seen through the branches and of it being behind the aspen. And sometimes I just put my brush down and then I pull down so I get a nice pointed stroke that kind of imitates the tip of a tree. So we're starting to go in with our dark green. Like this. So I do just a quick sort of sideways stroke, and I leave some white in between to suggest the snow on the ground that's already fallen. So we keep just going across, painting around the branches, not worrying about leaving white space, but keeping that white ridge intact. And one of the things I love about this paint box is that the colours are very rich and the pigment is very strong. So this dark layer is going to take a few minutes to dry. Once we've put it in, we'll have to walk away, check our laundry, check our email, make some coffee and give it a moment to dry. But you'll see how beautifully the pine trees are coming in and how we get that nice strong contrast. I'm also going to put some pine trees in at the base of my aspen too. So now I'm going to take some of my white, I'm going to mix it in with the yellow ochre to put it on the aspen tree trunks and the tree branches. So just test your brush on a bit of scrap paper to make sure you don't have too much paint on it. And then you can run a line down some of the branches or the tree trunk where they come over the dark mountain ridge. And to finish off, we'll go back to our original yellow mix, our 43, put a tiny bit of white in, and we'll just put in just a couple of odd loose leaves in against the purple mountain, and then our painting is finished. So our painting is now complete, and I really hope you've enjoyed this mini trip out west, and I can't wait to see what you do. Thank you.